Hi, everybody. I'm glad to have this opportunity to give a speech. First of all, let me thank the conference organizer for giving me this opportunity. Today, I'm going to talk about the merging of banking and the securities industry. We all know that blockchain is bringing many significant changes to our current society. Among all the sectors affected, the financial service industry, in my opinion, will be impacted most. Let's take a look at what the current industries are like, banking and securities industry. And then we'll see what it is going to be like in the future when blockchain technology is fully implemented in the infrastructure. The current banking industry, all organizations in this industry use a centralized computing paradigm. Each company or organization has its own computing system. It maintains its own data. When they work together, they have to make sure that their data is consistent with each other. The commercial banks in the industry perform mainly such services, absorbing deposits and providing loans. We'll see what these services are like in the future. The current securities industry also uses a centralized computing paradigm. Each organization in the industry also has its own computing system. And when they work together, they have to make sure that data is consistent with each other. The golden copy of data is maintained in the depository organization. All other organizations will have to use this data to make sure their data is consistent. In the future financial ecosystem, the infrastructure will be based on distributed ledger technology. That means organizations and users perform all activities on the same infrastructure. And they share there's only one copy of data. Once a financial service is performed, all related data will be maintained in different nodes. One company or one organization does not own the data all by itself. So the whole ecosystem is built on top of a distributed ledger technology. This means that existing banking and securities industry, all the existing financial service activities will be performed on the same infrastructure. And also in this ecosystem, digital currencies and digital assets will be used. Digital currencies will be used as the basic medium of exchange for financial transactions. In terms of settlement method, delivery versus payment, DVP method will be used. DVP method is more effective, more efficient, and less costly than the existing receive versus payment method. So this is going to be a significant improvement. It will help to improve the efficiency of financial service activities. Okay, let's take a look at all the existing activities in the current banking and securities industry, and say what they are like in the future crypto financial ecosystem. Central banks will continue to its current function. It will make monetary policies and make sure that these policies are implemented. So I don't think central banks will have many change in the future ecosystem. But other organizations, especially financial intermediaries, will experience significant changes. Let's take a look at the basic financial activity, the deposit absorbing service. In the future ecosystem, commercial banks, of course, will continue to provide this service, but it will have a competition from other organizations and technologies. Since all organizations perform financial service activities on the same infrastructure, so users will have more choices in where to deposit their money, digital currencies. They can choose to continue to use commercial banks, or they can easily transfer their money to other organizations that offer better return and with a little bit higher risks. For example, bond mutual funds, municipal mutual funds, and stock mutual funds. End users, since all these funds are performing services on the same structure, end users can have can easily transfer their money to such organizations. So commercial banks will compete harder to take users' deposits. And the most significant, I think the biggest change is that end user can keep their deposits by themselves. Since everybody has an address on this ecosystem, he can use this address to maintain his own digital currencies and digital assets. He doesn't have to put his money in a commercial bank or in any other organizations. So commercial banks will work harder to justify itself to absorb end users' deposits. In terms of loan providing service, there's going to be more variety of such services, and more companies and individuals will participate in this loan providing service. We all know that DeFi is developing very fast nowadays. One basic application in DeFi is providing loan service. If one user has some digital assets that he can use a collateral, he can use this collateral to borrow from any other user who is willing to loan his money based on this collateral. And this process is controlled and implemented by smart contracts. Smart contracts guarantee that this loan service is executed. So this is actually more reliable than relying on third-party intermediary, such as a commercial bank. Because the person or the organization who loaning out his money will have the assurance that he will not lose his money. Since everything is controlled by smart contracts. And also, other than this automated loan service, commercial banks would also compete with other organizations, such like private funds and even public funds. Because all organizations perform such activities on the same infrastructure, end user would have an easier choice among all these service providers. In terms of the payment settlement service, in the future financial ecosystem, such payment settlement service does not to be finished or performed by a dedicated third-party clearinghouse. The underlying infrastructure technology itself provides this clearing service. So one user can transfer money directly to another person without any third-party intermediary. So this process is less costly than what we have right now. So these services are mainly performed in the banking industry today. Also, in terms of the security trading, all securities will be in digital form. So all digital securities will be traded with digital currency, and such activities are all performed on one infrastructure. And also, we will have more variety of digital security assets, and the trading forms will be not limited to centralized matching. And point-to-point direct transaction can be carried out, especially for new products that are currently not traded nowadays. For example, the ownership of real estate, the ownership of a private equity fund, and even arts. They can be traded directly between two end users without going through a third-party clearing and settlement intermediary. And for products like stocks and funds that can be divided into smaller standard units, they can continue trading using centralized matching. And the settlement can be performed by the underlying infrastructure. So in the future crypto financial ecosystem, trading forms are going to be more than what we have nowadays. And there are going to be more digital securities that can be traded. These trading activities is also performed on the same infrastructure, just like the other services that I just talked about. So in the future, there's going to be no clear distinction between the banking industry and the securities industry. So what does this mean for existing incumbents in these industries? This means that existing organizations will face stronger competition, or will face big challenges. Each organization have to make necessary changes to adapt to this new trend, so that they can continue to be successful in this new environment. Each company, each organization, depending on their role, will have to select different strategies. But in my opinion, even though they face very strong challenges, they can still make a good strategy, and if they can execute well, they can continue to be very successful in the future ecosystem. Actually, there are right now different pathways working towards the same goal. For example, like existing digital exchanges, they are not such exchanges are still in a very early stage. There are not many of them nowadays, but for sure, these exchanges will appear, and they are going to provide trading services for digital assets. And right now, DeFi is also developing very fast. But the financial services using DeFi definitely can improve a lot in terms of efficiency, effectiveness, and cost. But the problem with DeFi right now is that all the activities are still performed on many public chains like Ethereum. But the public chains cannot be used as underlying infrastructure for financial activities. So a compliant infrastructure still has to appear in order to use DeFi, to realize all the benefits brought about by DeFi. But this existing DeFi exploration is very beneficial, and I'm sure they can be used. The third path is a stablecoin. Nowadays, there are already different stablecoins, compliant stablecoins in the current society. And now recently, the United States President and the Financial Market Working Group, and also the OCC made their stance clear that they support the development of stablecoins in the society. This means that most stablecoins will appear. The significance of a stablecoin is not that it just provide a medium of exchange. It will bring in the underlying infrastructure, because stablecoins will have to run on top of underlying structure. This underlying infrastructure is definitely going to be compliant, and is also going to support different. It's going to support digital assets. So the development of a stablecoin will eventually lead to the appearance of infrastructure and digital assets, and hence all the activities performed on the infrastructure. So we can see from these three development trends, they are actually working toward the same goal. That is the appearance of a future financial ecosystem, which is going to be based on distributed ledger technology, and which is going to support digital currencies and digital assets. So, who are going to be the winners in this new ecosystem? I think there are some basic requirements for any organization to make this successful transition. First of all, the business is definitely going to be based on distributed ledger technology, because distributed DLT is going to be the future infrastructure. If one business is performed on a centralized computing paradigm, even though it can be successful in the short term, but in the long run, it cannot migrate or transition to the new infrastructure. Therefore, the business will not continue to develop in the long run. So this is the first condition. Second of all, it has to support multiple stable coins that are based on major fiats. Stablecoin is the basic medium of exchange in the future ecosystem. And if there are no stablecoins, they are not going to be financial activities. Thirdly, this is this thing is not well recognized, but in my opinion, this is also going to be more important than the other two. That is, it has to be supported by a membership type organization. One company can do the first two things, but nowadays it's very hard for one company, no matter how big it is, to promote the use of DLT, one DLT, and fiat stablecoins on the infrastructure. The future ecosystem has to be supported by different organizations. And these different organizations will have to work collectively to make sure to promote the use development of this new ecosystem. In this regard, in my opinion, Dime Organization Association is a very good example. It provides its own distributed ledger technology. In this case, it's a permission chain, and also it's going to support different stable coins. The first one is going to be based on US dollar. The later ones will be based on different fiats, and also, most, in my opinion, very important, that is supported by an association of organizations. And these organizations have equal saying in the running of this ecosystem. So such a system, such an arrangement can help the development of this ecosystem. And lastly, who is going to be making the transition? In my opinion, any organization or a consortium of organization that have the least to lose and most to gain. There are some organizations or companies that are at a very advantageous competitive position right now. So it's very hard for them to make this transition because the new ecosystem is based on a very completely different paradigm. So if they move to the new paradigm, they are going to lose their existing advantages. So such organizations are very hesitant, or they do not even want to transition to this new ecosystem. So only those who have the least to lose and the most to gain can make this transition. So we'll see. Should be interesting to see who the future winners going to be. In my opinion, this is not going to be that different from previous technology changes like the appearance of the internet. Internet brings new big companies. But before the internet, when those companies who are in a very advantageous position, some of them didn't make this good transition. In my opinion, the same thing would happen again in this new crypto financial ecosystem. Okay, here's my speech today, and you are welcome to have further discussions with me. Here are my contact information. Thank you for listening. I'll see you later if we have an opportunity. Goodbye.